Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Township of North Frontenac's regular council meeting for Friday, October 31st, 2025. Please be advised, North Frontenac council meetings are recorded. By attending a public meeting of council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Members of council, staff, delegates, and attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and or unacceptable behavior or comment. We begin this gathering by acknowledging and celebrating these traditional lands as a gathering place of the First Peoples and their ancestors who are entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the Township of North Frontenac is committed to working with indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a united path of reconciliation. Approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hermer, second by Councillor Fowler. Be it resolved that council approves the agenda dated October 31st, 2025 as circulated.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Disclosure between the interest and general nature thereof. Okay, seeing none. Before we go any farther, Corey is off ill today, so the treasurer filling in to do a great job. Okay. So business profile, Paolo Green.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, second by Councillor Hermer. Be resolved that council receives for information the business profile of Harlow Green provided by the Economic Development Task.
Comments? In favor? Carried. No presentations, no delegations, adoption of minutes of October the 10th and October 24th.
Moved by Councillor Hermer, second by Councillor Fowler. Be resolved that council adopts the minutes as circulated of a regular meeting of council held October 10th, 2025, and a special meeting of council held October 24th, 2025.
Comments? In favor? Carried. The business arising. Municipal support resolution.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, second by Councillor Hermer. Whereas at the meeting on October 24th, 2025, council passed resolution 34425, receiving for information and administrative report regarding the proposal on battery energy storage system project update. The council advised they would consider the municipal support resolution and lease option agreement at the October 31st, 2025 regular meeting. Now therefore be resolved that council receives for information an email dated October 29, 2025 from Kevin White, Government Relations and Development, Electra, advising that the Electra team appreciated the interest and dialogue developed with the local community, and the Electra will require more time to work through the feedback received. The Electra is requesting consideration of the optional lease agreement and able to support resolution be placed on hold. And that council agrees to defer any consideration of this project.
Comments?
So I'm not really surprised this happened, but when I'm looking through the resolution here, I just wanted to change one thing. I don't think council should agree to defer. I think council should just accept that they pulled out. I think if we deferred, it means that we're still accepting it. But if we just agree that they're pulling out, if this ever comes again, we can get other proponents. Doesn't have to be electric. I think it's the proper message.
Coastal Region, anybody else? Councilor Fowler.
I'm sorry. I think we did spend a lot of money here to hire lawyers for this thing and everything else, and for them to get the preferred. I think we should not keep that. I can come back another time on the one.
I agree. Electric could have told us, like, part of their letter said they have too much work to do to get ready for a certain date. They could have told us that earlier. But they knew going in, we were pretty close to it, I think. We've spent thousands of dollars and with the labor day, but it wasn't that cheap. So I think, I know it's kind of semantic, but I think we should do that. So that would be an amendment right there. Council Region, you want to add anything?
No, I would agree with Councilor Hudel. I fully support what he just said.
Okay, thank you.
So the motion has been amended to, and that council accepts this request.
It's, Council, you want to read the last two paragraphs?
And that Electra is requesting consideration of the option to lease agreement and municipal support resolution be placed on hold, and that council accepts this request.
In favor? Carried. Okay. Communication section A.
Moved by Councilor Hermer, second by Councilor Fowler, be resolved the council receives for information section A items of the clerk's administrative report entitled communications against.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Communications B, section action items, Thacker Lane, and East Bay Road.
Moved by Councilor Fowler, second by Councilor Hermer, be resolved the council receives for information a letter dated October 20th, 2025 from Pat Lamana on behalf of residents on Thacker Lane advising the property owners on Thacker Lane currently use East Bay Lane for access. And that the township's level of service policy bylaw 8913 as amended sets out the length of maintenance on East Bay Road to be 1.38 kilometers. And that Thacker Lane turns left off East Bay Road approximately 0.9 kilometers beyond the point where the township ends its maintenance of East Bay Road. And property owners must contribute to the maintenance costs of both East Bay Road and Thacker Lane. And that the residents request the township assume maintenance of the 0.9 kilometers of East Bay Road which leads to Thacker Lane, with the property owners continuing to maintain Thacker Lane. The council instructs the public works manager to provide a recommendation regarding this request to an upcoming meeting.
Comments? Deputy Mayor.
Further on is request for maintenance extension on another road where there's only one resident. One of the things I noticed is it would require a different piece of equipment. Can you use the same large truck, stay with me?
We currently contract out East Bay Lane and contractor uses a smaller unit with a drop-in sander and that. I thought about both of these, but I'd like an opportunity to review this one. The difference is, which I didn't realize till I started reviewing it. But there's 50 properties beyond the point where they're requesting. There's a considerable development in there. So I see the difference between the two requests.
Well, that's something that really easy too.
Can
Anybody else? So we're just asking Darwin to take a look at it and go back to it. In favor of the resolution? Carried. Item 10B2, Lions Club of Land O'Lakes, the Santa Claus Parade.
Moved by Councilor Hudel, second by Councilor Fowler, be it resolved the council receives for information a letter dated October 27th, 2025 from the Lions Club of Land O'Lakes advising the annual Northbrook Santa Claus Parade will take place on Saturday, November 22nd at 3:30 p.m. and inviting the township of North Frontenac to have a float in the parade. And that the Lions Club thanks council for their continued support and generous donation to the parade. That as the Caledar Barrie Fire Department has participated in past parades and is jointly operated by the township of North Frontenac and the township of Addington Highlands, they may wish to participate in the parade at the discretion of the fire chief. And the council approves providing public works trucks and or equipment subject to availability of staff and provided there is an inclement weather. And the council does not wish to participate in the Santa Claus parade by adding a float at this time.
It's a little change from last year, so kind of note, not really anyway. In favor of the resolution? Carried. Item 11A, appointment of the deputy mayor. Saw that. I will trust in you to lead us through this.
Moved by Councilor Fowler, second by Councilor Whittle. Be it resolved that council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Appointment of Deputy Mayor. So anyone who is interested or would like to recommend someone else can bring the name forward, and then there would be presentations to make people to accept it, and then council will.
Yes, that's when you want to second.
Well, you can nominate yourself, but there has to be a seconder. So if you want to nominate yourself, and someone seconds it, that's that case. And if you want to nominate someone else, there also has to be a seconder.
That's good. Yeah. No question.
I nominate Councilor Huber.
That you? Well,
I second that.
Councilor Hoover, you accept the nomination.
So I really appreciate the vote of confidence. I'm just so busy with my other committees. But I just I don't think I can do an appropriate job. It's 1 year left in council. I think that John is doing, a good job. I would like to nominate John.
I should have had the mic on. I do not wish to continue for this one.
Just for the record, as deputy mayor, other than having the title, you end up with about 2 to 4 days a year, one because I had a heart attack. But literally, it's like, hey, I'm in the hospital in bed, and I'm asking him to do a thing for me. So it's not overly stressful, but it is an issue.
Under hearing John, if nobody else runs, I'll accept. It's only 10 months.
This way, I do my best to not be involved, definitely. Okay, so it's anybody else? Welcome, you're on board. That means he's gonna sit here and you're gonna sit there. You didn't need to do that. Okay. All right. Welcome aboard, Roy.
Moved by Councilor Fowler, second by Councilor Hudel. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the administrative report, and the council appoints Roy Hudel as the deputy mayor for a 1 year term, and the council will consider an appointing bylaw later in the meeting.
Final comments? Steve?
You know that Glenda told me not to put my hand up, but
Of course, I know that she said you. Some of us run for election without telling our partner too, so, Okay. In favor? Councilor Hoover, welcome to becoming a deputy mayor. Okay, so we're on to item 11D, Shore Road Allowance Closure and Bylaw, Jolie and Nicolaiza.
Moved by Councilor Hudel, second by Councilor Fowler. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Shore Road Allowance Closure and Sale Bylaw, Jolie and Nicolaiza. Now, as required by bylaw 2025-4, the following be declared as surplus and sold to the zoning owner. All that part of the Shore Road allowance adjoining Coxdale Pine Lake line in front of Lot 1, registered plan 1144, geographic township of Clarendon, being Part 1 and registered plan 13R 6196. And that appraisal of the property is not necessary as this is a Shore Road allowance, and the council will consider a bylaw later in the meeting to offer close and sell this portion of the Shore Road allowance.
Comments? In favor? Carried. So we're now looking at 11B, Director of Emergency Services, our fire chief, request for early delivery of a new pump tanker.
Moved by Councilor Fowler, second by Councilor Hudel. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the Director of Emergency Services Fire Chief's administrative report entitled Request for Early Delivery of a New Pumper Tanker. And the council approves early delivery of the new pumper tanker, and the council authorizes the treasurer to transfer the required funds to the Fire Sustainability Tangible Capital Asset Reserve Fund. And the council will reconsider the immediate surplus sale of the 2011 Ford F-550 mini pumper. And the council instructs the Director of Emergency Services Fire Chief to review the apparatus in the current fleet and provide recommendations for council's consideration at a future meeting.
Comments?
Adam,
Well, previous deputy, yeah. Councilor Engels.
I recall, Adam, when that was purchased, it was be all, the end all, we had a demonstration in ADOT of fighting fires with coal. That was way in the future, way more hardly for that to do. I guess things have changed. The new equipment is different. I gather it's a larger pumper with more capacity for water. and techniques have probably changed. I know that we never used phone. So could you just briefly describe what has changed in procedures and policies and how much you're gonna get for that old F-550?
Mr. Mayor, through you, I can't really speak to how much we'll get for it today, for the F-550. I know what, a new mini pumper's worth. It's hard to say without getting it evaluated. In terms of policies and procedures and things that have changed, internally with us, not a lot since those days. But I want to be sure and consider all of the rural, limited access areas that we have and really make sure that we can still service them to the best of our abilities with a fleet with only with a heavy truck.
Adam, this is going into the office here.
That was the original plan, yes.
That's still a plan, or you changed it?
I do have a plan for the interim, until we decide, if council approves, of course, until we decide what, the ultimate decision would be. And the new pumper tanker would come here to Claire the Miller. We have the, space for it. And then make our decision a little further down the road, if that's.
Let me know.
But this is a really good news story, you're not, it's arriving early.
I'm sorry?
This is a good news story, that the pumper truck is arriving early.
It is definitely. I thought, in discussions with, the treasurer and CAO, we could, receive it early, out, before the winter weather comes and do a proper receiving ceremony and that sort of thing.
Sounds good.
Is there a possibility you can keep the other one, for a while longer? Is that the plan?
If council permits it, I would like to, and then really be sure, again, looking at our area that we service and looking at other, neighboring municipalities and strategies they have in place to help get into those tight areas, driveways, that sort of thing. And potentially, if you smaller trucks are not that, outside, you can't get the big one into, so.
If it's not costing us,
Like some money for green, right?
I don't see that. It's only 14 years old, not like 25, but that's roughly a whole day. So it's really like, if when you finalize your recommendation. Council Fowler?
I think that's a good idea, to keep the old one, can you put a motion or just?
Adam wants to play with it, so you put that, and so they bring it back next meeting after.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, if I may, my intention is to consult with our firefighting staff and make sure that we really have a proper recommendation for the council to ensure with that, everything reasonable time, make that decision going forward.
Okay, in favor? Second, third, Gary. Manager Community Development Proposed Agreement with Hydro One, the temporary use of the Pleasant helipad and area.
Moved by Counselor Hudel, second by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the manager of community development administrative report entitled Proposed Agreement with Hydro One for temporary use of Plevna helipad and area. And the council authorizes the manager of community development in consultation with the CAO to execute a lease agreement with Hydro One on behalf of the township, with the agreement to include the township insurance provider's requirements and all of the township standard requests.
So obviously, I agree with this. The only part I don't agree with is the $250 a week. I mean, we go down a few, they're charging us a lot of money for delivery. So let's make some money up. And I would charge them $500 a week minimum. Where are they gonna go?
Comment? Council Firman, then Council Firman.
I agree with that. does this interfere with any possible use of the dark sky pad, the viewing area? Will people still be able to get in there even though hydro's leasing the site?
So you Mr. Mayor, yes, so, everybody will, it is in the winter time, so it's in January into February, so the use of the start using pad isn't really heavily then, but they can still use it.
How will this affect Orange? I remember for the few council meetings I attended a couple of years ago, I was at one where there was discussion about closing one of the health pads down. Council had a very difficult time because there's very passionate competing interests for this. Will it in fact go on, even though they can land almost anywhere?
Mr. Mayor, so we will advise Orange, Hydro One has agreed that they will stop operations should Orange need to land. All Hydro's operations is gonna be in the daylight, which generally Orange uses at night during the lighting. So there won't be any impact at Orange. They will be aware, they will know, but Hydro One will cease operations if that's what.
Final comment? In favor? Oh, sorry, we need the amendment. Then hydro.
Who initiated the $250?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so we signed an agreement with Hydro in the past for $1,000 a month, so we just divided that into 4 weeks, and that's what it's in line with what we signed with Hydro.
In fairness, it's not hydro that's overcharging us. For the DD charges, it's the Ontario Energy Board. Who is responsible. I don't think you should try to punish hydro because it's so much.
Well, I'm not punishing, sorry.
Councilor Farmer. You question doing? Okay. But you never.
We could also look at it, Brooke said that we've been doing this for years with this inflation. So our inflation costs went up too. So I think $500.
You wish to make that as an amendment? For the seconder for that? That's about.
Just for information purposes, I've been involved in these processes before with Hydro One. And they don't have to use a helipad if they don't want. There's also a place that they want. Property or anything. So I don't think it should be allowed to do it. It's
I think Hydro One can afford $500 a week.
Councilor Engel?
My point is, this puts Brooke in a really awkward position. Now, she was negotiating. Hydro is gonna say, no, that's too much. Nobody's Brooke here.
Well, council directed Brooke to offer them with, you want the pad, it's $500 a week. That's it. So it's, you can lay it back on that. Literally everything's gone up, that fire truck is 650, new one's 880. It's just cost of doing business. I'm not in the mood to play nice.
So it's still gonna go together.
That's okay.
Voting on the amendment, and that council instructs the manager of community development to increase the fee to $500.
In favor of the amendment? Amendment carried.
Moved by Councilor Hudol, second by Councilor Fowler, be resolved that council receives for information the manager of community development administrative report entitled proposed agreement with Hydro One for temporary use upon the helipad. And that council authorizes the manager of community development in consultation with the CAO to execute a lease agreement with Hydro One on behalf of the township, with the agreement to include the township's insurance providers requirements and all other township standard requirements. And the council instructs the manager of community development to increase the fee $500 per week.
All comments? In favor? Carried. Okay, so we need item 11D, local government week activities follow-up.
Moved by Councilor Good, seconded by Councilor Hudol, be it resolved that council receives for information the manager's community development's administrative report entitled local government week activities follow.
Comments? Brooke and I and Marnie went to school up there and ended up the awards, and it was a nice experience for those kids. So, in favor of the resolution? Carried. Item 11E, electric vehicle charging stations update.
Moved by Councilor Hudol, second by Councilor Harmer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the manager community development administrative report entitled Electrical Vehicle Charging Stations Update. The council directs staff to continue to advocate for further discount solutions for EV billing, and that the $28,000 previously approved to be taken from the Infrastructure Sustainability Fund for the installation of the chargers be used to cover the monthly deficit. The chargers are varying due to high delivery charges, as the funds do not use the installation of the chargers. And that the manager of community development will report back at a future council meeting once further information from Charge On has been received.
For Council Regent,
Just a question. If we don't take the money out of that fund, where would it come from?
no?
We don't take the money from the fund. It just creates a deficit at the year end.
So we would have so no matter where it came from, pardon me, it would create a deficit somewhere.
Correct.
Did we offset it with surplus in the operating budget?
If we have a surplus at the end of the year, we could.
Or instead of 28,000, it might be 2,800 or 5,000, whatever.
Yeah, so the recommendation here was just because council had already approved 28,000 to the project. So we were just reallocating what council had already approved, but certainly can, if there's surplus at the end of the year.
Give us $1.
Is there any way we can add the price of charging at this stage? Instead of stepping our set off that the
Well, that's being worked on by both. Really, this is, when I went through it, there was a lot of information about update. Reality is $28,000 that we don't have to do, $300,000 asset, which is what we're paying for now. Yes, there's the downside of the operating cost, but which we're working on. But do we take 28,000? What do we do with it? We put it back where it came from. Typically, you don't take capital costs out of the reserve and use it to fund operating. Typically, normal. Usually we run completely separate. At the end of the year, if we can't fund it, then it's a different story. Right, definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mayor. Let's just take it out of operations, and at the end of the year, if there's a deficit or a surplus, we'll deal with that at right? And we have to pay for this. We have no trucks to pay for this. And I know that the report, there's a lot of considerations of what Brooke is working on, and I know you're working on too, and speaking to our MPP, John Jordan and everything. So let's just take it from operating, because that's what it is, and we can deal with the budget issue of balancing at the end of the year. And then I would like to see a report the next, and give Brooke some time and use some time to really come up with answers. So what's going on? Because, you know, I think better when as Brooke has researched everything and you've researched everything and then come back in 2 months or 3 months, whatever it is. This is the final thing. This is what it's going to cost. This is what we've done. And let's put it to bed, because at the end of the day, they're here.
Thank you for that. We have made some progress. There are 2 planning agencies. Brooke has talked to one and they said, go ahead and do it. You want to stay operational. Second one, I believe you have a meeting next week. So if that goes, maybe we can cap them at 50 kilowatt hours and 50 kilowatts per hour, and that will then take us out of the each class and like that. Holly,
Just, I should probably clarify, we are not anticipating the deficit to be 20,000 in this year. We do anticipate it's going to be less than that for sure. Just wanted to clarify that's not what we're anticipating.
it would really help if we had that for budget time, so we know whether, if we're going to be over 2,000 a month, they're going to be over 10 or 15,000, it'll be different. Yeah, to be, oh, sorry. Councilor Engel, I'll get there yet.
Brooke, these grants, these 90% grants were given to a number of municipalities, and some of those were rural. Are you getting any feedback from any of those other townships which are absolutely in a similar, identical situation to us? Are they fighting, or are they talking to anybody?
Mr. Mayor, no, I haven't heard from any other municipalities that receive these grants and that are doing something similar. Something I'll look into for sure, but I haven't had to as of yet.
The only reason we know is that Hydro One told us that we're not alone on this, with this number of, recipients. We use an operator who's running to the same issue.
I just said there might be some power in group action. If some of these were identified, it might be less work for you. If, you know, 6 other townships are in the same position.
Councillor Herman, you had your hand up? No. You have a comment?
Someone we haven't requested to remove the
We just take that whole paragraph right out. All right. So. I'll read the resolution without that there, not there.
Moved by Counselor Hudel, second by Counselor Hermer, be resolved that Council receives for information and manager community development administrative report entitled electric vehicle charging stations update, and that Council directs staff to continue to advocate for further discounts for EV billing, and that the manager community development will report back at a future council meeting once further information from Charge On has been received.
In favor? Carried. Okay. Item 11F, request to extend the winter maintenance limits on Ragged Suits Road.
Moved by Counselor Good, second by Counselor Hudel, be resolved that Council receives for information a Public Works Manager's administrative report entitled Request to Extend the Winter Maintenance Limit Ragged Chute. The council denies the request to extend winter maintenance operations on an additional 800-meter section of Ragged Chutes Road to coincide with the current summer maintenance limit.
Comments? Councilor Fowler?
This, this again is, you know, an elderly couple that's been maintaining that portion of the road for quite some time now. And it's getting harder and harder as years go on for them to do that. I think to do the 800 meters, it's less than for the township on that. And I think we should, not deny this to them.
Any other comments? Councilor Good?
Yes, I think we should deny it. Like I said before, that if we start doing one, there's another one, then another one, and another one. We've had numerous ones over the years. I know previous councils did Sunny Lake Drive, for example. I wasn't here when that happened. That was brought in behind my back. And I disagreed with it then, and I'll disagree with this one, too, you know, but we're a bit more.
Any other comments? Councilor Ingalls?
I sympathize with you, Fred. That is the situation that, like Wayne says, there are other couple of things to do it, but this is different from Thacker Lane. That is one household, because a new contract that have to be arranged with a third-party supplier, I guess. Would not be done, not just another 800 meters of the township truck going into the drain. That can't be done. I guess it's too bad that they can't do it themselves on a contract with somebody the way many other people do, the way I myself am considering doing becoming the problem of aging.
Councilor Fowler?
My concern is that do we have a standard that we don't do this? You know, is this a written thing in policy? I think, it doesn't hurt the township at all to help people out. And they've been paying their taxes for a long time and they've been maintaining our part of our road all these years. I think it's about time we give it back to them.
Comment?
Yes, sorry about that. I disagree with Councilor Fowler altogether. When I was looking at buying, I looked at private lanes and I decided not to buy it because I knew that there was going to be charges for me to have to maintain it in the future, and from that then on. Everybody that buys is aware of what they do or where they bought. And it's same as buying on an island. You know you gotta get access to that island. There's a lot of stuff like that, so I just agree that's what my items.
Okay, last comment, Councilor Fowler.
I don't think they really bought the property. That property's been in their families for, it's been there for a long, long time. So it's not that they went out and bought something knowing that they had that problem. They've been there for a real long time, that whole family. So it's, it's what you're saying is moot.
Okay, okay, Councilor Darwin.
Mr. Mayor, through you, I just want, we do have a policy for the adoption of extending winter maintenance or extending any maintenance or ownership. So our bylaw 8913 goes through a lengthy process explaining what the requirements are. And one of the primary requirements is that it's a benefit to the municipality. It doesn't, deal with the personal situation for folks at the end of the line. And just to let you know, I called the Elliots, I explained, talked to them about my recommendation and explained the logic, and they're disappointed, but I think they understood.
Thank you for doing
Where I was coming from.
because, well, it's a little difficult because the Elliots they have really changed the entire area and so on. So anyway, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor of this motion? To deny, right, doing it. Opposed? Motion carried. We're doing nine.
Mary, you called for a poll vote where you could buy.
Okay, housing task force minutes.
Moved by Counselor Good, seconded by Counselor Hudel, be resolved that council receives for information the notes of the meeting of the Housing Advisory Task Force held October 8th, 2025.
In favor? Carried. Oh, sorry, I skipped that. Question on that?
It doesn't appear that there was a quorum there.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Might need to be what it's for, I tell you. I tell you what, there wasn't one scheduled for it's coming Wednesday. You can check up at forum there because that meeting's canceled. Environmental task force.
Moved by Counselor Good, seconded by Counselor Hudel, be resolved that council receives for information the notes of the meeting of the Environmental Task Force held September 30th, 2025.
Comments? In favor? By the way, I accepted the show of hands. Brenda was asking the question of acceptance for the housing advisory task force. Anybody have listed that? Maybe good to go. Anyone wish to give notice of a motion? Seeing none, we have no motion, written notice which has been given previously. That takes us into the verbal reports. So, apologize for the length of this, but I'd like to begin by extending, thanks to this council and myself and the residents of North Frontenac to Adam and firefighters and the partners from Central Frontenac, Lanark Highlands, and Barrie and Caladar Fire Department, the Caladar Barrie Fire Department, as well as the OPP, the Red Cross, and so on, for the fire at Donaldson. They perform yeoman's work. It's just phenomenal the way everybody pulled together and use the lessons we learned from Centennial Lake, put them in place. We had a meeting of the committee yesterday and included a bit of a postmortem. And it was easy to see that what we had learned from them, we were using, and it then showed up, how we can do this better and that, and so on. We had 2 evacuation centers open, and one family where the fire started, the house was right there. They took advantage of that on the first night, and the OPP and the Red Cross. They arranged for accommodation for 1 night, I believe, or 2 nights, I mean, 2 nights, in a motel. And I went to visit them the next day, and they were home, and they were quite happy. So thank you, to you and your crew, Adam. We really appreciate it. It's a job. Okay, so, Frontenac, went to a county council meeting. Nothing particularly earth shattering. Attended the Rural Frontenac Community Services 50th anniversary. Presentation or event on Wednesday night in Charlotte Lake. It was really interesting to hear the history of the organization, and we highlighted SALT, how we work with them. We highlighted the money that we provided them to reduce the cost for seniors, who are trying to live at home. They were really appreciative of that. I was supposed to go to the Eastern Ontario Warden's office, Parliament Hill Day, and I didn't go because of the fire. I figured it was more appropriate if I was here. Local government week, we talked about that. That was a wonderful experience. We went through the best meeting, and it was really nice to see 50 people out. Everyone was here expressing their opinion on how we could do things, what we should do. And it really highlighted the fact that helping communities is set up. We need to keep that in mind when we go forward with different things. County of Frontenac budget meeting for 2 days, which could probably be done in a day. It looks like we're going to be about 4.86% of the county level. That could change plus or minus a little. The additions were primarily additional medical staff at Fairmont Home. We usually had 1 ambulance and a crew of paramedics. We added 3 ambulances and crew of paramedics because 2 of the ambulances would go to update the spare ambulance fleet. So we're putting into the ambulance, put them into the active fleet and take the duct from there and move them to the back. When an ambulance leaves the active fleet after about 5 or 6 years, they have about 250,000 kilometers on the odometer. The engine is running 450,000. So in the last month, we're taking out, the spare things are taking out 1.15 and taking in one notice. $20,000 a shot. It's expensive. We had the county hosted the MAP municipal accommodation tax open house. We still don't know what their plan proposal is going to do. Interested in talking to the business owners, how this would work. Brooke and I did a interview with Global News yesterday on the EV chargers. We've had our money mentioned in the emergency management meeting. Next week's housing advisory task force is canceled. Remembrance Day, and since no one stepped up to take away a week from Denby, I would do that. I was going to I decided to give the one threatened to the kind of clinical wires. We did very good last year. We came to ours and we talked to the region, went to theirs. And I didn't go. It's not supposed to be there. It's what days. Warden's reception is coming up. We're looking forward to having everybody there. In the Cardinal Hall, hearing all kinds of comments about what's that way. I haven't watched for beer. So, it should be interesting. Looking forward to having you all there and our chance to meet some councilors from different jurisdictions. Well, the press will be there. And I participate next week or the week after in the County of Frontenac Business Services 2025 Business Services Workshop. So that's probably going to see something you might think about later, but that's it. So there is no update on this business corporation. I have asked them to do a presentation to the Housing Advisory Task Force. I've asked them to do it by bringing them all over that door, waiting for that. So we have Councilor Good. Councilor Regent.
Also, Regent advised you to get the stuff away. That's what they're doing.
Okay. Councilor Goodwin.
So we had our MDCA board meeting a couple of weeks ago. The budget for 2026 was approved with an increase of 3.75 on the operation levy, 8.5% on the capital, and with the assumption of a growth rate of 1.6 in the area, 1.6%. And we also approved the cost of living increase of 2.5. That's all.
Councilor Herbert.
I'm not in your report, but I do have a question. Do you have an estimated amount of the cost of that fire?
Yeah. Yeah. They just finished pouring holes, right? Or rolling it back up. What were the figures? Because it's like over a kilometer or 2 kilometers of hose.
6,800 feet municipal hose and 8,800 feet of, provincial hose.
And they had to brush the area. It really, it was quite an operation. Councilor Fowler.
Yes, EOTA, we have a meeting coming up on November 13th. We have a meeting on November 20. I think there's a presentation. Brooke, did you get a poster for a presentation in Central Frontenac for November? For that? Something rings the bell that there was something there, but I don't have that information right now. The OPP Detachment Board will be meeting on the December 18th. That's all. Thanks.
Councilor Inglis.
I do not have a report.
Yep, thank you, everyone. That will take us to.
Moved by Counselor Good, second by Counselor Hudel. Be it resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce the following bylaws that have been circulated to all members of council. Bylaw 2025-48 to appoint a deputy mayor, and 2025-49 Mustafa Closenseller Shore Road Allowance, and that these bylaws be read a first, second, and third time and by me.
In favor? Carry. Adjournment? Any? Well, public forum, I'm sorry. Somehow. This is that saying, I get the thing moving. My apologies. Anyone wishing to? Just first, smile.
Forgive me, I had to write it down. In light of the last, 4 months, but especially the last week, I feel the need to read this, for 2 reasons. It's probably not stated enough, but the community appreciate everyone that sits at this table. We have to stop thinking of it as a boxing ring and everybody goes back to their respective corners and licks their wounds and then waits for round 2 or 3 or 4. If the last Friday's meeting proved anything, the community is trying to unite, and we're trying to stick together, and we would much sooner be behind you than ever in front of you for whatever reason that may come down the pipe from here on out. So I'm here this morning to express my concerns regarding certain issues that have happened in the last little bit. I'm not here to lay any blame or cause blame in any way, but it is vital that we continue to embrace community involvement and uphold the democratic process. You guys do not have an easy job. On this side of the table, we may think it's a no-brainer. And myself included, we don't take that into consideration enough. So for that, I apologize, and hopefully some of the people in the community will share my apology. Mr. Morton's latest article did state that democracy isn't a scoreboard. Our collected efforts, asking hard questions, showing up to meetings like we did do, and standing in the light of truth are essential to preserving the integrity of our community. The work of our council, residents, and local media ensures that decisions are transparent and rooted in facts, which is crucial for maintaining trust between residents and elected officials. Engagement and development projects like the BEST facility requires us to weigh in both pros and cons. And again, we realize that you guys did do that. Our community strengths lies in constructive dialogue, clear facts, the good and the bad, and mutual respect. Our love of our community should also remind us and motivate us to participate honestly and openly and answer questions, share advice, again, the good and the bad, and support each other through the process. We can wholeheartedly agree that democracy, with its imperfections, remains our most vital tool to ensuring that decisions reflect our collective values and aspirations. Community involvement is the backbone of sound decision-making. Again, we want to be able to stand behind you, never in front of you, is the intention. I may not always agree with council's decisions for our community, but if those decisions are made by using the pathways outlined above, then I will respect them. Again, as Donald Morton wrote in his article, that even though we disagree, and this is just as much for me as it is for everyone else that hears it, respect needs to be upheld. I'll close by saying that if we hold to these values and we commit to respect and integrity and standing behind our council, but also showing up. We have to, as a community, show up like we did last Friday, not with the same attitude, but with the same integrity. We have to be involved. If we want to know what's going on, if we want to contribute and we want to prop you guys up, that's on us. And if we want to move forward with our best foot forward, we have to be a team.
Okay, good, yes. Well, I didn't take that as an apology. I don't think he needed to apologize. Excuse me. I think that what he said was, sorry, what Mr. Westbrook said is something we all need to hear. We all need to work towards. So, I have no issue with that. I mean, you can always pick apart somebody's actions and somebody's words. And you win and clean the room and say it's done, and somebody can find fault with it. And that's not what we're here to do. So I really appreciate you coming and saying that. Thank you, well, for hearing. And another thank you for standing up for me, even though I don't think you needed to do it, but it's appreciated. Okay. Is there anybody else online that wants to speak? Or?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Willets, and I did want to actually speak to the backing out of Electra and the BESS system. I was also present at the special council meeting, and I understand that BESS probably isn't the best option for environmentally friendly. But I think that the initiative was a good one in the sense that, it's another support for the electronic systems that we actually have back here in North Frontenac. One of the things that I did note from looking at the Engage Frontenac was that there was a presentation by Frontenac County that talked about New Terra and developing smaller subdivisions.
Sorry, Ms. Willis, you're very hard to understand.
Sorry.
Better.
Can you hear me better, Mayor?
No, you just lost you again.
Okay, so I was looking at the New Terra initiative that County of Frontenac is looking at, and one of the things that I noted.
Okay, so Kelly, we can't hear you. The New Terra is a very expensive, very effective technology that, unless we're building a 30+ or 40+ unit subdivision in North Frontenac, really isn't going to be functional for us. Maybe down the road, 10 or 20 years, but not right now.
Yeah, I understand.
The Housing Task Force should look at it and know what's there.
I'm thinking that it would be a nice complement if BESS was going forward, not even with electric Electra.
Right.
But, if that does actually move forward, it would be a nice accompaniment because then you would actually provide the facilities for dousing the fires, the added protection, and looking at the natural process of retrieving the water through the filtration system. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that the site that was chosen for the BESS wasn't really the best position. What it did was it put a lot of businesses at risk because you were also looking at the aquifers underneath that wasn't really kind of considered. I know that storage of the best batteries at Waste 506 would be easy, but not necessarily the best location for the best system. If you consider Robertsville, which is actually a mining area that you were thinking about selling, that might be a better location because it kind of is an initial point. The land's already kind of been cleared. I know that you're losing money on that site because you're not receiving the taxes, but I feel in some way that that's actually a godsend because you would have to pay for additional land if you didn't go with what the municipality already had. And when I looked at the sites that were available to the municipality right now, I think that the majority of the people who were in those hamlets or areas would say no to it anyway. So I think that you should consider to continue to move forward, thinking about it, because you've already put the money in. So don't let it die. Just make sure that there's better consultation with the constituents. Emails are extremely important. If you can actually collect an email for each address, then you'd have a better opportunity to communicate with those people. And then those people who are seasonal, if they want to keep in touch with the committee, you could also ask them for emails. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just in response, I did think about the Robertsville property. There's no high tension lines there, and that's a big issue. So we'll just leave that whole BESS system right there. It's probably best in the rearview mirror. And there'll be people talking about it off and on and the pros and the cons. I think we actually came to the right decision. And that's why I voted to not to defer it, but to say want to come back and we're walking, but right now we're not going to say anything about it. So, okay, anybody?
Thank you. Anybody else online has a comment? Please use the raise hand feature.
Thank you, everyone. All right, now can we go to the filming? I'm sorry. I ran this up a little too early by the look of it. Okay, go ahead, Tara.
Moved by Counselor Good, second by Counselor Hudol. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-50 being a bylaw to confirm all actions and proceedings of council for its regular meeting held October 31st, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
In favor? Gary. Adjournment.
Moved by Counselor Good, seconded by Counselor Hudol. Be it resolved that council adjourns the meeting at 9:58 a.m. until November 21st, 2025, or at the call of the chair.
Comments? In favor? Carry. Meeting adjourned. Thank